I'd like to read out a couple of pieces about the Third Doctor. This is from the old DWRG. Vittori's Time Lord by John Riordan, 25th of November 1997. Among Doctor Who fandom, there is a wide range of opinions about the different Doctors. It seems that only the two Bakers are more or less immune from controversy, Tom being universally praised and Colin being unanimously panned. With the others, more of a critical grey area exists, and John Pertwee's is surely the most intense shade. No other Doctor, it seems, has more staunch defenders and heartfelt critics. The latter group generally based their criticism of the Third Doctor on the belief that he was an establishment figure, and therefore an unwelcome variation on a character who is essentially an anarchic renegade. They argue that his association with the military and other groups was a complete compromise of a show whose premise was based on a wandering adventurer who is always skeptical of authority. I'm at odds with these efforts to politicize a TV character. The Doctor is a figure for people of all opinions and convictions. He has no politics in the sense that we know them, and his beliefs are ones we all agree on. The Third Doctor in particular could be said to encompass this ideal. He saw good qualities in a wide variety of people and positions. He never arbitrarily rejected either authority or rebellion, but based his judgments on each individual case. This open-mindedness makes him, in my opinion, the most complex and subtle of all of our favourite Time Lords incarnations. He knew that blind oppression was just as dangerous as blind obedience. And now this piece by Kevin McCorry from the 19th of March 1998. I've noticed that the 5 seasons of Jon Pertwee have been criticised in recent years by letter writers to science fiction genre magazines and in reviews to The Guide. Though Pertwee is my favourite Doctor and his era is therefore the one I most fancy, with the Davison one coming next, I have to admit I see where the arguments about the era's formulaic predictability come from. What always was a bugbear to me about the Pertwee stories is their often excessive length. The optimum length for a Doctor Who adventure tends to be 4 episodes, presumably why this became the norm in the Tom Baker years, and it is true that the more successful and appealing Pertwee entries, to my mind, are the 4-parters, most notably the Auton stories, Day of the Daleks, The Three Doctors, Carnival of Monsters, The Time Warrior, and Death to the Daleks. Though some of the 6-parters are fast-paced enough or contain sufficiently interesting plot twists to hold the viewer's attention in one sitting, among them the Sea Devils and the Green Death, most are excessively padded with repetitive chases, failed escape attempts, etc. I've never been able to sit through more than an hour of the Ambassadors of Death, The Mind of Evil, Colony to Space, Sleep Inducer, or Frontier in Space. The fact that the former 2 of these stories are only available in black and white does not help. Yeah, this was the case at one time, I believe, for some Third Doctor serials. They weren't available in colour until a later date, anyway. Like, the original colours had been, negatives had been lost, they were junked. Though Planet of the Spiders contains the most extensive chase ever in Doctor Who, the remainder of the story drags like a slow spider on a floor. As a 4-parter, the episode would have been far more exciting. I can also understand the criticisms of the unit background to the stories. For 1 season, maybe 2, it was interesting. Beyond that, it became as repetitive as The Master in Pertwee's 2nd season, and the addition of recurring types of guest characters made the stories even more formulaic. First, there was the gung-ho military man, if not the Brigadier, then Major Baker, General Carrington, Trenchard, the Marshal, General Finch, or Dan Galloway. Next was the pompous scientist who resents the Doctor, including Lawrence, Taltalian, Stahlman, Kettering, Windsor, and Whittaker. Most prolific were the obtuse and or stuffy politicians and bureaucrats such as Masters, Brownrose, Chin, Styles, Walker, and the Prime Minister himself. Whenever a supporting guest makes his appearance, one easily pigeonholes him into one of these types, and the fate of the character is known immediately. The pompous scientist dies, the military type either dies senselessly or redeems himself in death or is court-martialed, and the politician is only there to thwart the Doctor's efforts to spur or stop the Brigadier's troops and is neither humbled nor humiliated. But visually, the vibrant colour, the contrast of the exotically coloured aliens on green, earthly soil, Pertwee's dashingly flamboyant costumes and bright yellow Bessie, with Pertwee's performance as brusque, charming, daring, introspective, and tender and vulnerable, always at the appropriate times, still clinch the Pertwee era as my favourite for Doctor Who.